Hi friends, welcome to SVD Sadbhavana channel. Today we have a very special guest with us. He is none other than PUSHPA Joseph, currently working as the editor of Magnet magazine of the CRI, the Conference of Religions of India, located in Delhi. Prior to that, she was in the academics. She holds a doctorate in hermeneutical phenomenology, and she has been teaching in the University of Madras for 11 years. A lot of academic experience as well as administrative experience. Today, we are happy to have you, Mr. Pushpa, with us to share your long experiences as an academic and as a religious person and as a researcher. We have been having many caps. Okay. Could you tell us a little more about your academic background?
Thank you for the Babu. Thank you for this opportunity to share my experiences, not only as a person, but also as a religious who has contributed to the Church of India and to the society of today. Basically, as you already said, I have an academic background because I finished my doctoral studies in the University of Madras. During the process of my doctoral studies, I also went to Harvard as part of my research writing. I was 2 years at Harvard Divinity School,
Okay.
and I especially was trained by the famous hermeneut Dr. Lisbeth Schusler Fiorenza. She's a very good feminist theologian and a very good interpreter of the Gospels from present day perspectives.
Okay.
So I had a lot of training with her. And after I came back and after I finished my doctoral studies, I was also called by Father Felix Wilfred to teach in the Department of Christian Studies. So my teaching has been a way of entering into the lives of students in order to help them understand the impact of the gospel in today's world. And I think that resonates well with the SVDs because people who make the word relevant today in particularly the multicultural context of today. So that has been a journey for me as well. And in reference to that, I have also written a lot, at least around 30 articles in different journals, both national and international. And I have looked at the manner in which the church can contribute today in a relevant way, in also a critical way, by continuing to be salt and leaven in the world today. In order to do that, I have applied feminist hermeneutics and the methodology, critical methodology, particularly methodology that I learned from this great writer, Lisbeth Schusler Fiorenza. My contribution through my doctoral thesis, Indian Feminist Hermeneutics, which has been published in 2010 by Salesian Publications, I've looked into how this method can be relevant for the marginalized communities of India.
That's an important thing that you mentioned because there is a very strong movement, subaltern movement in this country, and hermeneutics has been very much applied in these movements in order to highlight their presence, their philosophy, their contribution to the nation, which has been invisible for many centuries or many millennia because of the social structure that we have had. Now, how do you address the emerging trends in society, including the feminist movements in India? Because we still know that women's status in India is still much to be desired. Although you find them in politics and bureaucracy and so on, but when you take it on a larger scale, women's status is still much to be, much work to be done. What do you think about the present status of women's movements in India?
That's a very good question, Father. I think women's movements have contributed, particularly by bringing in or creating a community of women from different spheres of our society. And another thing that the feminist movement has done today is, first and foremost, bringing women together. Secondly, instilling in individual women and the collective women an awareness that there is so much within each of us. So there is an inner journey that feminism needs to make and is continuing to make. because why I'm saying this is because I think first and foremost the empowerment of each individual begins from home. When I say from home, I'm talking about two factors: the family and also the within of each person. To which I would apply something like Gramsci. Gramsci would say that our collective and individual consciousness needs a transformation. And I would say every woman's consciousness needs to be transformed, for which I must become aware of the richness within me. In order to become aware of that, today feminism gives us critical tools. Those critical tools are not totally new. We will talk about, for example, the hermeneutics of suspicion. This is something even liberation theologists spoke about, Gramsci spoke about, Marx spoke about. But how do I apply it individually in my present context? And how do I look at the enemy within me and try to bring out the best in me in order that I become aware of what I have kind of imbibed even from society as a result of my cultural upbringing, and how I, even as a woman, continue to perpetuate sometimes the chariot of patriarchy. So the first and most important thing is I become aware, each individual woman becomes aware. Then is the next level that we try together to break into the cultural and structural what shall I say, structures of patriarchy that is binding us. So this is something that even Indian women's movements have been trying to tell us.
So you would say that the women also have internalized this patriarchal structure.
Very much.
And that's probably need to break.
Okay.
When it comes to the patriarchal, aspect, one of the criticism that we find is the church is highly patriarchal. How do you look at the church structures and the participation of women? I'm asking this question in the context of President Pope Francis, who has been pushing this idea of women's greater participation in the church. So how do you see that?
I definitely see Pope Francis as a prophet and continuing to push even women and men together in order to break the structures that are not life generating. That I think is a very important contribution that Pope Francis is making. But we're also aware that since he's pushing this, he is also being critiqued. We are also aware of that. Secondly, what I want to say is, since you're also in the line of philosophy, I want to say, first and foremost, affirming what Pope Francis is doing. I also want to bring a critical element into that. There is a tendency, I think, even those who are radical thinkers within the church, to think of women as merely complementary. I think women and men are not merely only complementary. I think we are equal partners in a journey together. For me, the problem with complementary ideology is that there is a tendency to again enter into stereotypes. Male is supposed to be this, female is supposed to be this. But what I feel is each of us are individuals who are called to grow like a tree or like nature. In nature, there is no control. In nature, there is no stereotype. In nature, there is free growth, free flow of life. I basically feel we need philosophical and theological structures which would lead to a practical journey of growth together as partners, not merely as complementary. Complementary is good only to a certain extent, but if complementary ideology constricts us by making, especially because what I would say is in complementary ideology there are power structures hidden. But what we need is, I would say, a partnership model based on the radical willingness to accompany each other to fullness.
Okay, that sounds very interesting. But my question is this: when I look at the Christian community and the women in Christian community vis-a-vis women of other religions in India, have they not attained the higher level of individual freedom and even societal freedom?
In many ways, yes. I think we need to congratulate and feel very proud of the role the church has played in highlighting the importance of liberation and radical liberation, and the contribution made by church movements, I think, is really noteworthy.
I think
and
the
commendable.
church congregations have done a tremendous service to humanity
Sure.
through their education and health services, and so also other social development services. In addition to the academic experiences, you're also an administrator of your organization. What are the challenges that you faced in carrying on as a leader of your organization? Some these achievements as well. Yeah.
Some of the challenges, I'll start with the challenges, not because I want to be negative, but because challenges always, we are philosophers, so we like challenges. Some of the challenges has been one thing that we already referred to, because we women have internalized a lot of patriarchy. With that internalization of patriarchy, we tend to create in our own ways restricted models for our own community living.
Yes.
That has been an issue, and it is always an issue. Very often, the enemy is within. Enemy is not outside. So that awareness, I think, is very important for us as women.
That is one of the challenges.
Yeah, one of the challenges. I would see that as one of the challenges. The second challenge that I found is very often, I think, a cultural challenge. A cultural challenge where there is a tendency to feel for a woman religious, that much is enough. And I'll give you an example. I remember as a provincial, I was asking one sister who had finished her MBBS to go for a PG and postgraduate studies. And I remember some senior sisters telling me, Pushpa, as a sister doctor, MBBS is enough. So that was a struggle. No? So sometimes we internalize that type of mediocrity. I remember very often even a person like Father Joe Manat saying, one of the evils of religious life is that we accept a lot of mediocrity. No? But then actually even religious life
for excellence,
yes, excellence
is not so much.
That is struggle. Yeah, that was another kind of struggle. Those were by and large for me difficult issues.
I'm sure you also have lots of encouraging stories as a leader.
Encouraging stories. For example, some of the remote, the province that I was part of had a lot of remote missions, particularly in the areas of in border areas between states. For example, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and those communities are communities that have experienced a lot of displacement. And in those communities, even some of the structures that we had were very, very poor structures. I still have a smile on my face when I think how we together build up certain infrastructure. That also was difficult for us. So today, when I think of that, I feel proud because the infrastructure we built was also a token of development for the people of the village there. I see that as a great thing. Something else that I feel proud about is having accompanied the sisters. And today, many of the young sisters call me up and tell me, thank you for journeying with us and for helping me understand there is something more that I can journey towards. Because
wonderful, Sister Dr. Pushpa, that you have been contributing much in the area of academics as well as leadership in your organization. At the moment, you are the editor of a magazine, a national magazine owned by Conference of Religions of India. What has been your experience in editing this magazine, and what kind of contribution could you make?
Thank you for the Baba for asking me that. I just want to start by saying Magnet has a history because it was started in 2016 by the executive committee of that time, and the president was Father V.M. Thomas, who was a Salesian, and the then national secretary was Father Joe Manat. So this body is responsible for starting this great magazine. December 2024 will be the 100th issue of Magnet.
Congratulations to you.
Yeah, because congratulate, I think, Joe and then me also. Now, I have finished 21 issues. And what is great about Magnet, I think there are 3 important goals for Magnet. First, to create a space for ordinary men and women religious to understand what it means to bridge the gap between hardcore theology and hardcore academics and popular understanding. So to make theology available for the common man and woman religious, I think that is a great important thing. And also to create a space where an ordinary man or woman religious can write
and also express themselves.
Yes, that I thought. And we have different columns.
Good, excellent. It was wonderful talking to you, Dr. Pushpa, and sharing your experience with us. And I'm sure you are there to do much more to contribute towards academics as well as organizations in which you are working at the moment. Thank you once again and wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much, Varun. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.